Alright guys, Soni Podcast, Conversations on Life and Combat, episode 11. I'm back with another bang. Last week I had former UFC fighter Zach Paga. I'm back with another bang. I got former UFC fighter, BKFC fighter. I'm introducing Park Reporter, guys. How you guys doing? How you doing, man?
How are you?
Thank you for coming on the show, man. I've been watching.
Thanks for having me.
I've been actually watching. I've seen your fights live in the UFC. No, I saw your fight with the Tafa brothers. I remember watching those, and yeah, in the UFC, I still remember you watching on the prelims.
Nice.
Are you into philosophy?
A little bit, I'm not like a philosophy student, but philosophy and mindset is obviously a big part of fighting.
So let me start off with an iconic question on Soni Podcast.
Sure.
What do you think success is?
It's whatever you make it. Success is the accomplishment of your goals, and that could be anything from I got out of bed this morning to I made $1 million this year, or I didn't cuss anybody out or use bad language today. Like it's whatever you make it.
Really? So don't you think it's happiness? Do you think it's happiness, success?
Well, I think success makes people happy, but success itself isn't necessarily happy. I know plenty of people that are successful with accomplishing their goals that aren't necessarily
But are
happy.
they really successful if they're not happy? You think so?
Well, are they really happy if they're not successful? It's kind of like back and forth with it. You can spin it every which way you want to spin it. But if we're focusing on success as itself, like by the definition or, what people think of as success tends to make most people happy because it's usually something they've had to work towards. And it's really more or less, them realizing that the sacrifices or the struggles or anything that they've had to do to achieve that success was worthwhile, which makes them feel better about things, which then kind of creates happiness.
100%. So you fought in the UFC, right? You fought in BKFC. You have a family. This is like inspirational, right? So let me ask you, are you successful?
I like to think so. I've had a pretty successful career. I opened a gym and it's becoming successful. By the parameters that I have set for myself. Somebody else might be like, oh, it's already successful, and other people, it's a matter of perspective by which you measure your success, like I said earlier. So yeah, I would say I'm successful. I have a happy life. My kids are healthy and well behaved and rounded most of the time.
Yeah.
My wife and I are happy together. So yeah, I would say that I am successful.
So you're happy too, right? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. That's good.
I am.
But let's say, okay, so you're giving me like a list of things, right? Like, oh, I have like, my kids are well behaved, I'm happy, all of these things. So let's say you don't have one of these. Are you still successful? So like, what point do you become successful? So like, were you successful 5 years ago? Or were you successful when you didn't make it to the UFC? At what point can you say, I'm successful?
Well, I guess you could say I've been successful my entire life because there's always been something I'm trying to achieve. Maybe it's not necessarily to the finish line that I had in mind in the beginning, but success is forward progress. Right?
Okay, so it's like the journey. So you're always successful.
Right. Yeah. And that's a big piece of it too. That's why I don't think necessarily success and happiness always go hand in hand, because you can succeed at something, but it doesn't necessarily make you as happy as you thought it would, or it might be like a fleeting emotion where you're like, oh, I thought this would make me feel even more happy than I did. But, fighting is a lot like that. Obviously, winning the fight is the main objective. You feel great when you win. You're happy. You put all that hard work in, but it's such a fleeting moment. I'm not currently experiencing the same feelings and emotions that it was immediately post-fight when I won.
Yeah.
And I'm same thing. I'm not experiencing the exact same emotions and thoughts that I was post-fight on a loss either. Yeah. So
that's a good way of thinking.
It's fleeting.
That's actually a good way of thinking.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it like that. See, I wrestle too, right? And even the outcome of the fight, See, you believe in destiny? You believe in destiny, or do you believe in free will? Really?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Well, so I believe that there is a destiny out there for all of us, but your free will determines the path to get to it.
Okay.
Or if you even do get to it or not. It's ultimately up to the choices that you make.
So can you change your destiny? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's say the outcome of your fights, right? Even the outcome of my wrestling matches. I give it up to destiny. I feel yeah, sure, I have control over the move, but I just think it's a way more positive way of justifying, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll say, you have free will to decide whether you're going to put in the work or not. And that's why I say I believe in both, is in the sense that I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make sure I'm prepared. But at the end of the day, anything can happen. There might be something I did prepare for or didn't prepare for, or I just didn't execute properly in the moment, or my reaction timing was just a little bit delayed or too early, or whatever it may be. So did I train for it and prepare for it? Yes, absolutely. And then I also have the free will to decide, well, I'm going to do better, or I'm not going to let this be a defining moment for me in a negative way. I can make it a defining moment for myself in a positive way, learn from it, come back even stronger and harder, and work more diligently and be more disciplined.
No, you're right, 100%. That's actually what I believe in. A lot of my other guests, they don't say the same thing, but that's exactly what I believe in, You got to give it your best shot. You're not going to get everything handed on in a plate, right? You got to actually go and try. But,
right. And even if you did get it handed to you on a plate, you wouldn't appreciate it the same way.
100%. Or, you can't get, you can't make it into the UFC and win a bunch of fights handed to your plate, right? You got to go out and try. Or, even this podcast, right? I can't get, you or, other fighters by just getting handed out, right? You have to go out and reach out, So, same thing,
Absolutely. You got to put yourself out there and shoot your shot.
But, yeah, man, I got a iconic segment on my podcast. It's called the Hat of Philosophy, right? So you just pick a question out of the hat, and then
gotcha.
It's a philosophy question. So let's go. Let's pick a question.
All right.
Oh, we did this one before too, but do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, not in the necessarily the Halloween sense where everybody's out there to scare you kind of thing, but I've had loved ones of mine pass away that I feel like I'm still connected to, and they're kind of my grandmother especially is, kind of out there looking out for me and watching over me and helping to keep me focused and centered and on the right path.
Have you ever seen anything in your life that's oh shit, that's a ghost?
Not physically seeing a silhouette of a person or anything like that. I've seen things that are just too coincidental to just be a coincidence.
So do you believe in let's say someone passes away, their spirit is still with you, or their spirit's around you? Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. I feel you're still connected in some way, shape, or form.
But do you think they can interact with you?
Can they can what? Interact. I mean, I believe in it, but I've never personally experienced it.
Okay.
So
it's just you're just giving it up to chance. Right? Okay, let's say I put a gun to your head. You have to give the right answer, right? If you give me the wrong answer, you're dead. Are you gonna lean towards they can interact with me, or no?
Well, at that point, I'm probably gonna I'm gonna hope that they can give me a good helping
Yeah.
answer.
I don't know, man. But how about aliens? You believe in aliens?
I think that the universe is way too big for us to be the only life forms out there. Like, I agree with like Joe Rogan on that sense. Like, I'm like, we can't be, and if we're the smartest, only freaking beings in the universe, there's a big problem with the universe.
Yeah, or like you gotta understand, right? We're alien to them; they're alien to us too, right? So it goes
Right,
both ways.
right.
So, no, I think that too. You know, there's definitely aliens out there. I'll favor more to a yes than a no. But like,
Absolutely.
is it with all conspiracies, or like, let's say like the Bigfoot or something? Would you say the same thing or no?
I don't know, like, because like stories like that just kind of like seem a little bit far fetched in the sense that like when you listen to the person trying to like tell the story about it, and you see them, and yeah, you do your best not to be judgmental, but you're kind of like, this guy's a little tapped, like maybe he's just looking for some publicity or fame or trying to tell good stories, or maybe he got into a good batch of mushrooms or something. I don't know. Like, he's just seeing shit.
Let's talk about like okay, how about like another conspiracy? Like let's say like earth stones. Do you know what earth stones are, or like birthstones? Yeah.
Birthstones? I know. I know what
Like
birthstones are. But
like the fact that people believe in how those earth stones can like change your destiny or change how you are in this life. You know, like
I'm skeptical. I'm open minded to it, but um, I don't have like blind faith.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like people believe like okay, so there's this one rose, right? Sorry, one stone. It's like the turquoise one. I forgot the name of it, right? But that's in my head. But people say that that stone gives you good luck, and when it cracks, take it off because it'll give you bad luck. Like, what do you think about that? You think something like that could exist?
I think whatever you believe, you will manifest, whether it's positive or negative. If you're convinced that nothing good happens to you, then nothing good will happen to you. If you're fixated on, well, I don't want this to happen, or I don't want this to happen, or that's what you're constantly focused on. That's what you're going to attract. But if you can change and train your mindset to focus on the positive, like, I have this, I have that, I have achieved this, I'm successful in this way, or whatever it may be. I think that has more weight and value to it than a specific physical element.
People who maybe are not as positively mindset resort to things like that, or
I think it makes it easier for them to change their mindset, because it's a lot of people have a tough time just being honest with themselves. Being clear and critical of like accepting that, whether it's positive or negative, they don't always tell themselves the truth about themselves. And it's a way of them being able to kind of like step outside of that. Well, the problem's not with me. The problem's with this stone. The stone was good luck, and then it cracked, and now I'm having bad luck. So it's that stone's fault, as opposed to their mindset.
that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. You know, people think like atoms influence other atoms, or like I don't know. It's like a whole theory about that, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it personally. I don't think any stone can dictate my destiny or dictate what I do. You know, or it's same as zodiac signs. You know, I don't believe in that stuff. But well, what do you think about zodiac signs? Do you believe in zodiac signs, or?
I mean, I think most of them are more accurate than, are too accurate to ignore a lot of times. Yeah, as far as like personalities and just like energy, like you talk about like the atoms influencing other atoms. I that absolutely, yeah. Um, we have some actual evidence of that, from scientific evidence, as well as on top of all the the faith and belief behind it.
Oh, okay.
But you know, that kind of all correlates right there with like the whole destiny and free will. It's a combination of all the above. You know, I don't think anybody can really label it into one just singular category.
Yeah, man, that's true. I don't think. Yeah, people. Yeah. So you believe in it or no? Like,
What,
yeah.
Zodiac Signs? Yeah. I've seen
Okay.
people that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, I'm not like walking up to every random person I met like, oh, what's your sign? You know, like I'm not like that hardcore into it. But like when you meet somebody and then like you develop a relationship with them, and then like later on you find out, you know, like you're whatever sign and they're this sign, in like the compatibility or lack of compatibility, things just seem to make a lot more sense. You know, you're like, oh, that happened exactly the way that this, so to speak, you know, dictated it would, so to speak. So it's kind of hard to ignore that stuff and just write it off as nonsense.
100%.
You know? But again, I'm not all in 100% with like this is the tell all be and you know end all be all of everything.
That makes sense. So we're talking about. Let's go back to the destiny part, right? So you think like you fighting Jon Jones? You think that was your destiny or was that your free will?
It was both. You know, it was my destiny would have it be that we cross paths, and the free will was I agreed to do it. You know, and so did he.
How was that whole experience fighting Jon Jones? Like,
It was terrible. He knocked me out in 38 seconds. You know, just like most people that have fought him. It's not like, you know, oh my God, best day of my life. No, quite the opposite most of the time.
yeah, he's good. He's I believe he's undefeated. You know that one loss said disqualified.
No, I'm with you on that. You know, that loss should have been that DQ. That fight should have been over before that illegal elbow was ever thrown. You know, the referee should have stopped that fight long before that. There was no warning. You know, it just. I mean, and even still, like he was winning the fight regardless of how the elbow went.
Yeah.
You know.
So how was your whole experience in the UFC? Fighting in the UFC, you fought 8 times, right? In the UFC. Yeah.
Yep.
How was
8 times. It was great, man. They're good. They're super professional. I got nothing but good things to say. I wasn't super happy about the way I parted ways, but you know, it's business at the end of the day. I can't hold anything personal against them. I understand they got a job to do, and I have a job to do as well. And if they don't feel that the relationship is going to be beneficial to them, then they don't have an obligation to continue it.
Fair enough. So, what was your toughest fight in the UFC?
It's a tough question. Toughest fight. I'd probably have to say Josh Parisian. My second fight with the UFC. It was my first win. Yep. And it was tough because I was coming off of a loss. It's tough because Josh was not a bad fighter in any way, shape, or form. Big, strong, 100%. Capable guy. Really nice guy. We've actually become pretty decent friends afterwards. We talk to each other through social media a lot and check in. But that was tough because I was exhausted and running on a lot of willpower and really just trying to I was trying to make sure that the win that I was looking for didn't slip through my fingers.
Yeah, I know you're talking about Josh Parisian. He's really good though. He's really good. Yeah, yep. I remember. Yeah, on Instagram too. But what do you think about the GFL League? Have you ever thought of joining that?
So I don't know a ton about it. I'm actually really interested to see how it goes. I know that they had their drafts already, and they've made their team, so to speak. I'm really intrigued by the whole structure of everything, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how their first event plays out and what kind of potential longevity they could have as a promotion or how they can grow and better the sport. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not like a diehard UFC or Bellator or PFL or any one promotion. I love the sport. I want to see the sport grow, and I want to see people that are doing this, like I decided to do this and make a career out of it, be able to make it to those higher levels and be more well compensated or taken care of for, the job that they have at hand. We're one of the only professional athletes on the planet that still have to have a part-time job when they first get in to make sure that they can still pay all their bills.
Would you be down for a fight in the GFL though? Yeah.
The GFL?
Like if someday.
Yeah, of course.
100%?
Yeah, I mean, that's like asking if I'm down to get chocolate ice cream or something afterwards. Yeah, of course.
Oh man, yeah, that's actually funny. Who would be a fight that you would like to have? Or like, what's your dream fight in heavyweight? Any guy who you'd love to fight?
I don't really have a dream fight. I just like to fight, man. And whoever's in front of me on the current path that I'm on, that's the next step to get to where I want to be. Right now being with the BKFC, I've got my eyes set on trying to get that belt. So whoever they put in front of me on that path to get up there, that's who I got to focus on. So those, essentially every person after the last fight is the dream fight, because it's bringing me one step closer to that ultimate goal of getting that title fight and being able to bring home that belt.
Tony Ferguson versus Danis got announced. That's a crazy fight. What's your prediction on that, man?
I love Tony. I've been a big fan, but I think he's just I don't think he's got it anymore. I think he's on the downslide. He's having a rough time with everything. He's an icon in the sport, but I think his time is past, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong, because I'd love to see him go out on an upswing. But I don't think that's going to go Tony's way, unfortunately.
At some point where his skill is still there, like Danis is. Danis is like 3-1. Tony has like 50 fights, right? So there's got to be where some fight Tony wins. I feel like, So I'm favoring Tony in this one.
I mean, there's always going to be a fight that's like a guaranteed win, but even that, nothing is guaranteed. So
no, but in the UFC, everyone in the top 15, I think, beats Tony. Yeah, but
yeah, I agree.
I got Tony. I'm backing up Tony in this fight. I don't know. I think he'll get it done.
Well, I hope for both our sakes that you're right and I'm wrong.
Yeah, Tony, because I think his only bet is to knock him out. Because Danis' jiu-jitsu is really, really good. Like, really good. He has some good jiu-jitsu. So
he's got great jiu-jitsu, and his striking is like, it's so. I think out of everything that Tony's had recently, that's his best chance for a W. But I don't necessarily like his odds for fighting in general. And he's got a lot of miles on him. He's had some absolute wars where he's taking some serious damage. And I think it's just starting to catch up. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope I'm right though. I hope I'm right. But you fought Jalton Almeida too. He's a pretty big guy right now. He has a lot of hype around him. How was your experience fighting him?
He's a good guy, man. My biggest thing with that is and I'm trying to think of how to say this without saying it poorly. He's an extremely talented grappler and he's very strong, but I think my headspace, I gave his ground game too much respect, which then caused me to be too tentative with my striking game, and too cautious, and it cost me the fight. I wasn't quick enough to react. He threw that teep out there and then shot in like big long explosive shot immediately, and then I was too careful to just play my game. I'm not like a world champion, like a Gordon Ryan or a Craig Jones or anything when it comes to jiu-jitsu. But I'm also not terrible. and it's an MMA fight instead of a BJJ match. So it's different, and I kind of got in my own head in that fight. And I think that if I didn't put his skill set on such a pedestal, I think I would have done a lot better. I might have still lost, but I might have won. Regardless, I think it would have been a better fight.
He's doing really well too, right? People are saying he might be next
Yep.
for the title. I think after 1 or 2 fights, but he's doing pretty good. But you want to do one last question? All right, man.
Sure.
Let's do one last question. Let's do a philosophy question again. So, man, what do you think is a good person?
What do I think is a good person?
No, like, what is a good person? What
is a good person?
Like, are you a good person?
I think I am. I do my best to be a good person.
So what is a good person?
A good person is somebody with strong morals and convictions, but they're still also open-minded and not quick to judge. They're more curious than they are judgmental. They want to understand.
Okay.
And they don't want to cause pain. They're not afraid to do it if it's a last resort, like it was like Jordan Peterson's famous for his quote of, like, a good man is not a harmless man. A good man is a man who's capable of very dangerous and violent things, but has that under voluntary control. And I couldn't agree more with that, because you need to be able to protect and take care of yourself or people around you that can't protect or take care of themselves. But you also have to be open-minded enough to hear other people's perspectives and reasons for why they are, for their story. I think a good person is somebody who tries to help or add value to other people's lives as well as their own life.
Okay. So you gave me like a list of things, right? No, that's all good.
It's not just one thing, like you can, it's he's got nice teeth.
Question is, like, you gave me like a bunch of list of things, right? Let's say he's all of those things, but he's judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a bad person now?
How judgmental is he? Is he open-minded enough to work on being less judgmental? Like, probably, if he's judgmental about one thing in particular or several things, but he's open-minded enough to be called out on it and willing to work on improving that. No, he's not necessarily a bad person. He's somebody who's working towards becoming a better person, though.
But you gave me like a list of things. You gave me like 10 things, right? Let's say he doesn't have one of those 10 things. Is he a bad person, right? Like, at what point does a person become bad?
That's a tough one.
There's got to be a definition. Not a list of things. No, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
No, good. You're just trying to think of, like, how to articulate it. Because obviously, like if it depends on what you're being judgmental about. There's too many variables and situational components to that. Like, if you're judging somebody because, I don't know, they farted or something, they got like that rip in a restaurant. Oh, he's a slob. Like, that's not the same as being judgmental about somebody's race, religion, or creed, or skin color, or something. Like, they have different levels of gravity and weight to them. You know, because a lot of these things coincide with morals and ethics too. If I'm judgmental about the quality of somebody's workmanship, or craftsmanship, or judgmental about a decision that somebody else made because I would have done something differently. That's, like, I can't really say that one piece makes them a bad person, but I can't say, depending on the situation of what they're being judgmental about, doesn't make them a bad person.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. But don't you think there should be a definition for everything? Like, oh, that's a good person, that's a bad person.
Yeah. I mean, the world would be a lot less confusing and chaotic if it was just like, yeah, this fits this definition and that definition. But there's, as much simpler as things are when they're just black and white about things, so to speak, there's too many gray areas and different shades of that gray area to just have it one way.
So you think it shouldn't be black and white?
Yeah. Not everything can be.
Okay. No, but how are you gonna say that? So you think oh yeah, go ahead. So you think people are just good and bad, or you think people are more good than others, or more bad than others?
No, I think it's very much like the yin and the yang. With every little bit of good, there's some bad in it, and with every bit of bad, there's some good in it. There's nothing that is purely one.
So how are you gonna scale that? How are you gonna say, oh, that guy's a 60% of a good person, or that guy's a 60% of a bad person?
How do you scale? I don't know. You're trying to get into the scientific formulation for it now. So I don't think there's a way to break it down into a mathematical formula.
Okay. So
it's your own judgment and your own character. It's what you feel comfortable with accepting and what they feel comfortable with accepting. Yeah. It doesn't nothing that we can't fit everything into some perfect little box in this world. I wish we could, not everything has its own perfect little category where it just sits nicely and doesn't bother anything else or overlap or leak into one spot or the other.
You think you're a good person, right? But you think you're 100% of a good person? No, right?
No, how much nobody percent? Is. Nobody is. I'll say 90. I'm a solid A+. Yeah.
What will make you a 91?
What would make me a 91? Not doom scrolling on my phone and getting to bed a lot earlier.
I think we all do that. Man, that's actually funny, bro. It kills so much time, bro. It kills so much time.
It does. It does. And the time we only have so much of.
I think that's a good way to end it off. Thank you for coming on my show, man. That was a lot of fun.
They're very welcome. I had a good time. Excellent.
Have a good one, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. You too. Bye.